Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of NCompass Live. I am Krista Burns, your host here at the Nebraska Library Commission. NCompass Live is the Library Commission's weekly online event where we cover any activities that may be of interest to Nebraska librarians across the state. We have guest speakers come in sometimes, and we have our own commission staff, as we have today, doing presentations. We do these sessions every Wednesday morning, excuse me, at 10 a.m. Central Time, and they are free. And they are recorded, so you can listen to any of our sessions that we've done over the last a little over 2 years now. We've been doing it. So you listen to all of those that are out there. This morning's session, we have, as you can see from our screen, a new basic skills program. Laura Johnson, the continuing education coordinator here at the Library Commission, is going to fill us in on all of that. So I'm going to pass over to Laura.
Thank you, Krista. Hi, everybody. We are going to talk about new basic skills today. This is the program, the basic skills program that we've kind of morphed into an online program this year. And so we'll talk about how we're going to do that or how it's going right now. I called it new basic skills to distinguish it from the basic skills we had before. If anybody has a better name, let me know. I'm not sold on this one, but it was, all I could think of. Just the facts on this, they are online asynchronous programs. They are modules now instead of whole courses. There's 6 requisite courses and 7 elective courses that you need to take. Each one lasts 2 to 4 weeks. You get 2 CE credits for each one you take. The registration fee for each one is $10, and they are offered more frequently than the basic skills courses used to be. What does all this mean? We aren't teaching them in person anymore. Why aren't we doing this? Well, a couple of the things we heard about basic skills courses over the years was it's really hard to get away. It's hard to spend that much time. They're not often enough. I had to wait 1.5 years to take this course I really needed.
To get the one
part to get the one part I really needed.
Yep.
Because there were 4 of those courses, and we offered one each 6 months. So each one was offered once every 2 years. So when we were trying to think of a way to do this to answer some of people's needs. We also, quite honestly, we offered them at 6 places around the state and online, and that was getting very expensive. Budgets being what they are, we really needed to find ways to make this a little bit more cost effective. So putting them online appeared to be a good thing, but if they're online and people still have to come to class at a particular time, that didn't answer one of the big problems, which was finding the time right then. So I started exploring the idea of asynchronous classes, which is classes that are online, but you don't have to be there at a particular time. You can just go there when you want to.
So you can do it on your schedule,
so
not on someone else's.
That's the whole idea with this, is you could do it on your schedule. Now, this does not mean that there aren't deadlines and there aren't times when you need to get things done for class. Because the classes, in fact, are pretty highly structured, and there are deadlines for the activities in class.
And there is that short period of time that's even available for you to do. It's not like all year long you can jump in and do one. You do have a specific.
You register for a class, it starts, it goes for 2 weeks, and it stops. And I think we've already found that 2 weeks goes by like greased lightning. But some of the other things, then, if you're going to do this online, why have big classes? Big classes that last 6 to 8 weeks. We could take those apart and make them smaller pieces, and then people could take kind of what they needed. So the idea was started to have these modules. There'd be more of them. They're still covering pretty much the same material that we covered in basic skills. We've just broken them up into smaller chunks. We said 6 of them are requisite, which means everybody has to take those 6. And then you have to take 7 electives. Well, right now I think we have an array of 9 things to choose from, so you pretty much have to take most of the classes. But if you want to take services to children and youth, which will be offered this fall, that's a new one, instead of taking library finance, because you're the children's librarian and you don't have to do the budget, that's fine. That really speaks to your needs, and that's what we're trying to do.
You can kind of tailor it to what you do.
Exactly.
Is there going to be, as this goes on, I know it's brand new.
It is brand new.
More electives
I'm hoping
created
that we
so
will
that
get more
we can have
electives
more?
created. I don't think there's ever going to be, 25 or 30
Well,
of them.
no, I would.
But we will have a few more over time that I hope will be good for people. The duration of the classes, that says 2 to 4 weeks, which I think maybe is a little misleading because, in fact, all of them last 2 weeks except organization of materials. And that one's 4 weeks. At this point, I have thought about making that a double wide. But right now, it's the same 2 CE credits that you earn for each of the others. The registration fee is $10. Right now, we're going to offer each one of these classes this year, and I said we'd offer them all this year, we'd offer them all next year, and then we'd take a look and see, are there some we need to offer more often, some that perhaps we can get away with offering not quite so often. We'll have to see how it goes. But right now, you will be able to take each one of these classes this year and each one next year as well. The advantages, you learn what you need, it fits into your schedule, it's much less expensive for us, which you think, well, that doesn't matter, but it does, because we can't go on doing something that costs just way too much for us. So we hope we can go on presenting material to people, but doing it in a really cost-effective way. You do get to know librarians from all over the state instead of remaining within your little geographic boundary. And there's a lot to be said for knowing your neighbors, true. But this, you get to know librarians from all over, and you get to practice with online learning software. Well, does that matter? Well, so many things are going online, and we do. We view webinars, we view videos.
That's what we're doing today?
Yeah, we do all kinds of things in the class, so I think this does get people. The last class, a couple of one assignment, I told people, when you finish it, send it to me in an email as an attachment. Well, several people had never sent emails with attachments. Oh. That sounds like a really small thing, but that was something they'd never done, and this gave them a chance.
If they never had to do it before, it would have never come up. Yeah.
And this environment is really very safe when it comes to experimenting with things, because if you have trouble with it, I'll help you. If there was a problem, we'll work it out. I'm not holding people's feet to the fire in terms of, having to be able to do a certain technical thing. I do think people need to do the work in the class, yes. Oh. But so this is a really good place to be able to experiment with things, and it's one of the things I hope that we'll do even more of in class is experimenting with some new things. Okay, so that's some of the advantages. More advantages: no travel time, no time away, no finding a substitute. The big deal is flexibility. This is supposed to fit into your schedule, and you can come to school in your pajamas. So when you can get online anytime during the day when it's convenient for you. So let's take a look at the class and see what it looks like. The class, I called it NCompass. Yeah, it's kind of a pun thing. But it seemed to be a really good description of what we were doing. So
yeah, just put that right down there and I'll bring it up.
And here it is. This is live online. This is what you would see if you went to NCompass. You would see a list of the courses. And first we'll log in. Now I have a student login. This remembers me and thinks that I should be have a teacher login, but I'm going to use a student login today. One of the things I've found is I need to have a student login so that I can go into the class and make sure that it looks to the students the way I think it ought to. Okay, so when we log in, then we get a list of courses with descriptions that we can do. And when you sign up for the course on the Nebraska Library Commission's library training calendar, you are telling us that you want to take this course, but then we also have to enroll you in NCompass. NCompass is using a piece of software called Moodle, which is an open source software, but it's used all over the country. The University of Barcelona uses it, the University of Illinois uses it, ALA uses it for online courses. So we'll go into one of these courses today, and the one that's going on right now, a course started Monday, is Management and Supervision. So let's go in there. And this is what a course page looks like. It's really not very fierce. It's organized, as you can see, in 3 columns. The middle column is where the material in class is, and basically this is kind of, little notes about the material. This is organized by topic. So in management supervision, our topics are being a supervisor, human resources, dealing with people, getting work done, and then we have a final assignment. So, and under each one of these things are links. One of the big things about this, one of the tricks kind of, is you have to pay attention to these little icons, because they'll tell you what kind of thing you're linking to. So what do managers do? This icon is an article on the internet. So when we click, and I have this set so they will open in new windows. That's because I kept opening things and then I'd click off to something else, and pretty soon I'd lose the class. So I thought, well, if it opens in a new window, then we won't lose the class.
You always have that home page that never goes away. Yeah.
So this is a little article from the Wall Street Journal. It was really very short. Come on. But it told us a little bit about what the job of a manager is, and that's I have deliberately tried to choose readings from, well, I tried to have good quality things first. I tried to make sure there was a variety, that things were not real long, and that they were not real technical. I tried to keep things that are that weren't real difficult to read, that were maybe a little fun to read. I see no reason why the reading should have to be a punishment.
Sometimes you see articles about certain topics, like especially this one, being a manager and being a boss, that you can think, oh, that's going to be the most boring, dry thing I could ever have to work my way through.
That's true. And there are some things that sometimes may not be as interesting as we want them to be, but they're still worthwhile.
Yeah, they have useful information. Yeah.
Nevertheless, I tried to pick things that I thought were not horrible. So, for instance, here's more articles. Here's one, and this is actually from our Wilson Omnifile that we have access to through Nebraska Access.
Oh, nice.
And it will come up eventually. I chose the PDF. You can have either an HTML or a PDF version of things from the Omnifile. One of the things you need to know is when you're looking at these, look up here at the little box that tells you what percent this is. We can make this bigger, which makes it kind of easier to view. And, if you're reading it. Now, I don't care if you want to print these things out. That's fine. Students can print them out, but you can read them online. Then you see that we have a little icon for articles on the internet. We have little this is just a page on the internet. Then we have an assignment. And again, the assignments are really not that fierce. This one, it kind of explains what the assignment is. And this one was to try and write one sentence on what you think the most important job of a supervisor is. This is meant to get people thinking in this direction. It's meant to get people to really pare down to the essentials. And it's meant to get people into the class without being just a great burden. Sometimes I really try to make assignments. I'm not patting myself on the back, honestly. But I've tried to make the assignments things that are not a complete waste of time. You know, they're not just busy work. Mm-hmm. Sometimes this means assignments are even a little difficult, but I try not to make them too difficult.
Well, you're trying to learn something. There has to be a little bit of work involved with it, a little thinking, and that you actually come out with something in the end that you can then,
I'm hoping so.
Hopefully, you know, figure out something new or use.
Yeah. You know. So, for instance, in the last class we had, which was Reader's Advisory, one of our assignments was to develop a read-alike list. So take a popular author and find other authors that write in a similar vein for readers in your library who, you know, once you've read all of Nora Roberts, what else do you want? That actually, you know, isn't a real easy thing to do, but it's worthwhile because when you're done, you have something that you can use. So that's kind of what I want to do with assignments.
That'll close the whole. Oh, you want to go back to the PowerPoint?
I need to go back.
Oh, you just click on the bottom.
Here, it's okay.
Oh, there. Okay.
This is another thing I did want to show you. This software doesn't let people get lost. It has little breadcrumbs here, so you know exactly where you are, and it also has a shortcut navigation on all your pages. So it's real easy to get around in this. We go back to the main page.
I have a question about this. Now, and I'm not sure if you know or not, but is there any issues and things that people need to know about based on which browser they're using to use Moodle? Like you're in IE right now, but I know some people use Firefox.
As far as I know, I have tried this in Firefox, and it seemed to work fine.
Okay. I suppose Chrome and stuff is going beyond.
Yeah, I haven't tried those. But as far as I know, one of the things we looked at in Moodle was that it did work with a lot of different browsers.
People do have their preferences,
yes.
Nowadays,
and that it would hold a lot of different kinds of things, so we can link to a lot of different kinds of material. So anyway.
Yeah, we do have a comment from Michael Sowers, who's our technology innovation librarian. He's logged in. He said that for the PDF browsing and zooming will vary by browser. Once you get into the actual items, you might have something different that you'll need to do, but it's pretty easy to use either way, but it just may vary depending on which browser you are using when you bring up some of those things that are in it.
Yes.
But Moodle itself works pretty well.
Moodle itself seems to work pretty well. Now it also does, as I said, the middle column is where the class material is. This, for instance, under Human Resources, we're going to have a forum, which is a discussion. And people click and post. This particular forum is set up so that people have to post their first posting before they can see anyone else's postings.
They have to say something.
Yes. Other forums are set up in different ways. But we do have good discussions, and this is one of the things we really do want to do in this class is encourage people to get to know some of their fellow classmates. And that's
a place where you go to meet the people from across the state.
You can, yes. But one of the things we do is a participants list. And people have a profile. Now, this is my profile as a student, not as the teacher. And why shouldn't I have a good picture, you know?
Yes, you can get creative with profile pictures if you want.
Yes, you can.
You can have a real one of yourself.
I have a real one under my teacher profile. As you say, the interest for this is making sure the class works for everyone. This is my test persona. I have a profile. I can edit my profile, so I can change it if I want to. And it just gives me some, you know, a form to fill in to edit my profile. And here's where I would upload my picture. So that's not very fierce. I can see what the forum posts are. If I had a blog, this enables blogging. I haven't tried blogging in Moodle, but we could, I suppose. Notes, if I wanted to have notes. I could do that. So it just gives us a way to know other people. And see, this does have, and you can, in fact, if you go back to the participants list, you could click on this and send an email to people if you wanted.
So does that go within the Moodle, or it goes out to the email they've set up in their profile, like their own personal email?
So all the forum posts will actually appear in your email. So you can get them fed into it. Or you can tell it to stop that because it's sending you way too many emails.
Yeah.
But you get, I think if half an hour, if you haven't logged into Moodle within half an hour of a message being sent within Moodle, then it goes out to your email.
Ah, okay.
So you can see it's really important that you have your correct email in Moodle.
This is nice to see the pictures of the people who
It's
are
very
actually,
nice.
you know, if they've used a real picture. You know, lots of times you see people's names all the time. I get this at conferences when I go to NLA and whatnot. Oh, you're the person that sends me the emails. And seeing that there, that's nice that you have a face to put with it.
Well, I think it's nice, and you get to know your professional colleagues, really. One of the other things you do have to look at is that you can, there are reports in here, so we do know exactly what you've done, where you've been lately, and everything. Other things, you can get a list of all the assignments in a class, all the forums in the class, so you can't get really very lost. The calendar shows you when things are due. So for instance, today, the assignment to edit your profile was due yesterday. So you know what was due. You know who's submitted assignments lately, what's coming up, who else is online. It would tell you if anybody else was online. So it's fairly friendly. Oh, one thing we discovered recently is if you click these boxes, it makes some of this go away, and you have to click the box again to make it show up.
So you can hide the section.
So you can actually hide a section if you want for yourself. And you can actually put all these little things on the side blocks. You can actually turn these off if you want. I can turn the calendar off if I think it's distracting and I don't like the way it looks.
And this is personal to your profile, not the whole thing.
This is personal.
That's nice, yeah.
So you have control of this. So this final assignment, that sounds so dire, doesn't it? Really, the final assignment is simply to find an article either on a web page, and we do have a web page that goes with this course, or to find an article in Wilson Omnifile that's interesting to you on some subject that we've covered in class. So do a little bit more reading and then write us a little report about it, is all it's asking you to do. The idea is that things come up. You're never going to stop learning. And so this is kind of a little reminder to you that that's what we do when we encounter something, is we go look it up and try to find out more about it. So it's not really a bad assignment. Let me see, what else do we have? We have other, for instance, because I am a student right now enrolled in some of these other courses, I can look at other courses too. This is the Reader's Advisory course. That's what it looked like. These are the things they did read lists, and we put in there so everybody in the class, because that's good material that you want to use. So that's what NCompass kind of looks like from the inside. We can log out of it anytime. Just click and you're logged out. You do have to log in every time. And we send a username and a password to people who are registered for the class. Now let's go back to our slides and we'll talk a little bit more about some of this other stuff.
Yeah, click on right there. And it should
okay, so we were at NCompass. To register, you go to the library training calendar on the Nebraska Library Commission homepage, and you just do a keyword search on basic skills, and you will get a list of all the basic skills classes. We do not have them all listed here yet. We haven't entered them all.
Mm. Well, they're probably the ones that aren't open anyway.
Yes,
aren't
these are the ones that are coming up.
Yeah, and goes into April even. Yeah.
Yes. One of the things we've done here is we've told you when the class starts, but we've also told you when registration starts. So if you are dying to take the community in the library, registration opens March 4th. You can put that on your calendar. Be sure to register on that day. What does this mean to you? What does all this mean, this new basic skills stuff? Let's go back and talk a little bit. If you've completed your basic skills, if you took those 4 basic skills classes that we used to offer, you fulfilled the requirements. You don't have to do anything. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. You may take a module if you want to earn CE credit. A course like any other course, but you don't have to worry about basic skills. You have taken care of that. If you haven't even started basic skills, if you haven't taken any of those classes yet, then there are 13 modules, 6 required. And this is the 6. Intellectual freedom and the core values of librarianship. Collection management, which includes selecting materials, weeding materials, repairing materials. The community and the library, which is talking about your place in your community and how you find out about your community and how that information helps guide what you do in your library. Customer service, the principles of helping people and how you deal with people. Organization of materials, which is sort of, we get into cataloging a little, but this is not a deep cataloging class. And then communication, which is marketing, public relations, personally representing the library. So there's a lot there. Then there are 7 electives out of this list: library policy, reference, reader's advisory, programming and outreach. That's becoming much more important in libraries.
Oh, yeah.
Management and supervision, which is what we're doing right now. Leadership, library governance, library finance, and services to children and youth. This is going to be new. We have not really done this before, so Sally Snyder is developing this module for us. How did we decide which modules were requisite and which were elective? Well, by looking at what a lot of other people had done, by thinking about what we thought you really had to have no matter what your place in the library was, no matter what your role was. Remember, basic skills really started for library directors, but it has now sort of broadened its outlook for everyone. And so what do people need no matter what? And these were the 6 requisite. If you have to take 7 electives out of this list, you're going to take most of this list anyway. But it does give you some way to decide what you want to take. If you wanted to take more, that would be fine. We're not going to stop you at 7 and say, no, you've taken 7, that's all you can have.
Feel free to take them all.
You can take them all if you want to, but you have to have the 7 to fulfill the basic skills requirements in order to be certified. Now, if you're in the middle, if you took some of the basic skills classes as we had them structured before, how do we transition that? Well, if you've taken collection development, you'll get credit for intellectual freedom and core values, collection management, library policy, and the community in the library. If you've taken public service, you'll get credit for customer service, reference, reader's advisory, and programming and outreach. If you've taken organization of materials, you get credit for organization of materials. And if you've taken library administration, you get credit for management and supervision, leadership, governance, finance, and communication. So that's how we did it. I spent a lot of time trying to make sure that nobody lost anything in this transition.
And this is nice to see if you've done the old and you're wondering what the new is about, which new modules are equal up to what you used to do in the past and what you've known from the previous version.
Pretty much, yes. One of the problems was that these modules, the 4 modules, were not really equally stuffed. Library administration was stuffed a little more than, say, some of the others. So, and as we said, organization materials didn't really break down very much, and yet it's a very big subject, but it's all in one entity. So this kind of is the way this turned out. For CE credits, for new basic skills, there are 13 modules. You earn 2 credits for each module, so you end up with 26 credits. It used to be there were 4 classes, and each one was worth 6.25 credits, so that was 25 CE credits. So we've tried to make that pretty comparable. And the costs, we now have 13 modules, and the registration for each is $10, so that's $130 total. Before we had 4 classes at $35, so that was $140 total. So the costs are pretty comparable too. For further information, you might want to look at this page, which is the New Basic Skills Frequently Asked Questions, which I have open here. This will answer some of your questions, and I do add to this sometimes when people ask me a question that we haven't answered here. I'll add it on. And one of the important things is this links to several other pages. This is the schedule of all the classes.
So this is like you can plan ahead all the way into the fall for what's coming up.
So you know what's happening. I even put them on the calendar here. I know this is very small, but I put them on a calendar so you can kind of see how that works. And we tell you when registration opens. So if you're dying to take library policy, which starts April 18th, you want to be sure and register on March 18th when registration opens. We have said that we want to limit the size of the classes. So far we haven't really done that. We've let the classes be bigger. The classes aren't as good when they get really big. It's harder for you to get to know other people in the class. It's harder for me to, or whoever's teaching the class. Right now I've taught quite a few of them. Harder for me to have a personal dialogue when I have many more people to talk to. So I'm hoping that this will kind of even out. And that's one of the reasons to know when registration opens so that you get your registration in. Just in case you do
decide to actually enforce that limit.
Well,
or need to enforce if it gets huge.
We're going to work it out. That's sort of been my mantra all along. We'll work it out.
It's new. It is new. It can be tweaked. And,
it can be. And there's no reason for us to be all, rigid about it. Okay, so this is the new basic skills. This is the FA. Oh, let me look back a few more of these things. We not only have the schedule of the classes, we have the transition. If that went by a little fast, it is on this page. It tells you, if you've taken
the old to the new.
The old to the new, how that works. And I guess I have to go back here. This doesn't have links on it. Oh, because that's a PDF. And then I actually put a planner on here if you want to use it. You can kind of take this and say, well, this is kind of what I would like to take, and then keep track of what you completed if you want to. It's for your use and not official record, But you want to take this and, write on it and kind of keep it. Maybe it helps you. And that would be fine. If you don't think it's worth it, don't worry about it. But those are the pages we have on our website to explain kind of this. Okay, this is the, and here's the calendar again. This is what you'll get. We've always sent certificates out when people finished a basic skills class. And since we're going to have the classes online, we're also going to have the certificates online. We will send you this when you finish the class as an email attachment. You can print it out if you want to, or you can just keep it. And you'll notice all the classes are listed on here. What we're going to do is we will keep a file. And when Excellent Librarian finishes one of the modules, we'll put down the date when they finish the module, and we'll keep track of that. So this becomes then a record of what you've completed. And we hope that that will be useful to you. And if you want to print it out, again, you're welcome to. But you don't have to. But this is what we thought, okay, we can make this electronic too and still have a nice certificate for people. Mm-hmm. Of course, if your official CE record is the one we keep in a database, and you can look at your record anytime online. You go to the lookup page, and the fastest way to find this is to go to our the Nebraska Library Commission main page and just do a little search on record review or CE record review. You put in your name, your password, which we have sent you, or there's a password lookup, and this will give you your record. Now, this is a partial view of a CE record, and this shows you somebody's CE records when they took a couple of the previous basic skills classes, and then they've also taken modules from the new basic skills classes. So this is kind of what this looks like. It will spell it all out for you, and it will tell you what you need to take yet. So our IT people worked really hard to make this programming work, and we're really pleased. We think this is going to be really nice for people because it really explains it.
So the classes themselves have changed, but the way you do look up your CE record and the way that's on
the way you look
is
up
still the same. It always has been. That hasn't changed.
Yes. We may have a few transitional rocks to get over, but for the most part, this is working fine. And if you think we're in error, let us know. We do keep some backup records. We keep our lists of, our printed lists of people who've attended things and stuff, so we can look it up and we'll check things out for you. We really do try pretty darn hard to keep these accurately, but this is a human endeavor. This is not all automatic. This is not computer speaking to computer. This is people entering this data. So, if you think there's a problem, let us know. And do give us a few days or a week after a class is over to get it entered. Sometimes it, takes us a few days to get to that. Okay. Now, none of this really means very much if you're not part of the Nebraska Librarian Certification Program. Why would you want to be certified? Well, first, because it means that you've taken some courses and you've tried to learn and grow in your profession, and that's important.
Very good thing to do.
But it's also because if you want your library to be accredited, and an accredited library then can get state aid, they can apply for grants. I mean, being accredited is the first step to being able to do a lot of other things.
Getting a lot of benefits.
To get your
benefits. Library.
But in order to be accredited, the library director has to be certified. And for the library director to be certified, they have to have had some training in library science. If you have a master's degree in library science, we assume that you've fulfilled the basic skills requirements. If you've taken some courses at the community college, you may have fulfilled some of the basic skills requirements, and you need to let us know so we can figure out which ones to check off for you. Maybe all of them, maybe just some of them. But if you haven't, if you're coming to the library without formal training in library science, we think it's really worthwhile to take the basic skills classes. For one thing, where else are you going to learn this stuff? This, you know, how to select books, how to catalog books, how to do reference is not something that you just pick up everywhere. So this is a place where, you know, we can try to help you with some of these sorts of parts of your job.
And I was just thinking also, if you don't have either the time or the money to enroll in an actual library school program, an MLS program or something, this is a good way to get that basic information, that basic training that you can use.
We hope so.
Yeah.
But this basic skills, we've talked about your CE record. We don't keep track of things for people who have not enrolled in the certification program. So the first thing to do is enroll in the certification program. It's an online form. It takes about 3 minutes to fill out. And what you have to do is fill the basic skills requirements. And a certification period, I should say, is 3 years. So in that 3-year period, you need to earn 45 CE credits, which pretty much translates to going to workshops, viewing webinars. There's lots of ways to earn CE credit. Usually attending conferences, and usually it's 1 hour to 1 credit. So if you view a 1-hour webinar, you earn 1 CE credit. So it's not really, we have people who earn hundreds of CE credits in a 3-year period. It's not terribly difficult to do, but it means you're keeping up. And it means you're getting out and meeting some other people, and that's important too. So this is a discussion of certification. If you want to know more about certification, there is a page on our website that will tell you about it. And if you have any questions about this, about certification, about basic skills, about your continuing education record, just contact me, and I'll try to talk with you and figure out what we need to, or let you know what you want to know. And that's kind of all I had to say today. Does anybody have questions?
I have a question. I was thinking as we were going through this, there's this new program that the Library Commission is doing, a grant about 21st century skills, which is lots of technology-related type things. Is that maybe an idea for a part of basic skills too? Have a module on that, or you know, both kind of things? I don't know.
Okay,
maybe
we have
something.
we have a
as
couple of
skill,
things going right
module,
now.
I mean.
We have the VTOP grants, and they are going to involve some training for librarians.
Right.
Those are kind of, for the most part, those are sort of beyond basic.
Okay.
The basic skills are pretty basic.
Yeah.
We also have the 21st Century Librarian Scholarships that are going on. And those people, you can apply for scholarships for an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. And there will be some extra kind of technology 21st century training skills.
Right. I know they've been trying to develop,
for them.
Working on stuff for that, yeah.
That too, I think, is a little bit more than basic.
Well, for a lot of libraries, some of this basic technology, the data technology is becoming basic. I mean, especially when we're putting a lot of computers into libraries now with the other VTOP grant. Computers, upgraded internet. I wonder if
I would like to
it might be something that becomes basic.
I would like to develop a technology a basic technology module.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm talking basic.
Right, right.
Basic skills is only one of the kinds of things. I've been pretty wrapped up in this for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that has been a temptation all along is to try to put too much in basic skills or get too carried away. Mm. And this is not to say that people who are taking basic skills couldn't handle more advanced material or anything like that. It's that we need to develop a class, a basic class that will give people the material they need so that when they take a little bit more advanced stuff, they have the background they need.
Well, it's like what you said earlier, that some people who didn't know how to attach attach that kind of basic instruction in technology would be a good, and that's true. We have a lot of people out there who email is new to them, or the more advanced things in email, which are now becoming basic. Just add an attachment, and they're just, I don't even know what that means, or saving a document, changing it, changing the file name, sending it to someone else, and then some of that kind of stuff. That would be a basic technology rather than how to write a blog or how to do Twitter or something. Yes, absolutely, yeah.
It's also, I do think of the basics as really a background for people to go on to do further study. It's also that many of these basics, as I said, are the kinds of things that you're not going to learn other places.
Right.
You know, other places are not going to teach you the Dewey Decimal System. So this is kind of how we try to define basic. And then we are trying to offer, I would like to do more. I would like to do some beyond basic, but I kind of need to get this, this whole thing of basic skills going. I hope people will find it interesting to do online. People have been very kind, the students we've had, and have said, oh, I learned so much, or this was so interesting. I hope it is interesting. As I said, you know, we've tried to pick out interesting material. When I don't find material, then I try to go and look up stuff and write something that I think will cover the subject I think we need to cover.
We do have a question from our commission staff who are listening in. How many people are signing up for the new basic skills?
Okay, the communication.
Saw some of the list of the profiles. But.
The communications class, the first one, or not communications, I'm sorry, customer service class, which is the first one we had, and it is one of the requisite classes. I had 48 people sign up, which was too many. And
how does that compare to the in-person ones, I'm wondering?
You know, the in-person ones really varied.
The size of the rooms, but still, interest.
We said we had to have at least 5 to hold a class.
Right.
And we would have, between, say, 5 and a dozen, maybe a few more than a dozen. Sometimes the classes were quite small. Sometimes they weren't. But, you know, we were holding 6 of them.
Right. Lots
around the state. So,
yeah.
You know, 6 classes that averaged, say, 8 people, that's 48 people.
Right.
But there were these basic skills modules are smaller pieces than those basic skills classes were. So I don't quite know how it worked. I figured that we had about, what was it, about 300 student attachments to classes if you define them as modules in a year, and that we would have about that many places, actually a few more, doing it the way we're doing it now. If the registrations are all even. Of course they're not. So we had 48 people in the customer service class the first time, and we just opened a couple of new sections. I had, I think, 32 people in Reader's Advisory. Now this management supervision is, I think I've only got 15. So I don't think this is nearly as popular a subject somehow.
There's probably fewer director-type people out there than staff.
So, I think this is going to even out. I'm not, as I said, we're just going to have to try it and see.
And it just started, so yeah.
And I think people may end up finding out that classes they didn't think they wanted to take are nevertheless kind of, interesting and tell them something they'd be interested in knowing. So we're just going to have to see how that works out. If we continue to have really blockbuster registrations in some classes, what I might do is say, okay, we're going to have this 4 months from now, we'll have another section of this or something so that we spread it out more.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see. Is that everything?
At the moment, anybody, excuse me, does anybody have any other questions for Laura about the basic skills, anything? You can type it into the questions section or just say, I have a mic, please unmute me, and I can do that, and you can ask your question that way.
My great fear is always that I've bored the pants off everyone.
I don't think
because I've been so into this that if I get started, I talk about it, and it's like no one wants to know.
Oh, no, I thought you
stuff. But
the people who need the certification or want it, they definitely, it's important, absolutely.
Well, I hope people understand it, and if they don't understand it, contact me, and we can talk about it. I'm happy to tell people about it, and how this will affect your personal certification. We can go over your record and talk about it if you want to.
Well, it doesn't look like any urgent questions have come in, so I think we're good.
We're nearly time.
Yeah, good. Filled the whole hour.
Yeah, that worked out.
Great. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending. And, of course, as Laura said, contact her. You know where to find her, her email address, her phone number there, the 800 number here at the Commission, with any questions you may have about basic skills in general or just attending the new sessions.
Or anything else about continuing education.
Really. Oh, yeah, of course. This isn't the only thing you do.
No, it isn't.
And so thank you for attending today's session. It was very interesting. I learned stuff that I don't know.
I'm glad.
Hope you'll join us next week when we will have our monthly Tech Talk with Michael Sowers, our Technology Innovation Librarian here at the Commission, where he is going to be introducing us to the first Google laptop. Jason Griffey, who's a librarian at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, will be showing off the, he's got one of the Google laptops as a testing thing. So, yeah, very interesting. So he's going to be showing that off to us next week. So go ahead and sign up for that, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody.
Bye, everybody.